Hi there, my name is Pawel Swietach. I'm Professor of Physiology at Oxford University, and I'm joined here with my colleague
Alzbeta Hulikova, and I'm the researcher in Pawel's lab for the last 15 years.
And today we're going to talk about an opportunity that has arisen to work with Muhdo on our diagnostic discoveries. So our inspiration to develop a hemolysis device is that there's been an unmet need. There hasn't been a device that we, as patients, can use ourselves when we want it, when we feel is appropriate. We described our biomarker in a scientific context, and we wanted to develop a device that could be easily applied and cheaply, so it's accessible not just for the select few, but for a global user base. And because hemolysis is a problem that can affect lots of people, we're talking about a very wide range of patient groups, we think the market is substantial, and therefore the benefit we can deliver is tremendous.
And another important thing was to focus on urine, because urine is a very easy to get sample, and to look for markers of hemolysis was kind of our main goal. So when we validated successfully the biomarker, then that was the base that gave the base for the test.
So we think this is going to be a game changer, because being able to have patient autonomy about when they think it's appropriate to test themselves is really important, not only from the point of healthcare provision, but also economy. It is much easier to take initiative yourself and say, I'm not feeling too well, I've got a risk factor for hemolysis, I suspect something is wrong, let's test it at home and then make decisions, rather than take the model of, I don't know what's going on, let's go to hospital, see what happens. I got a personal story to share. Last week, I had to take my daughter to A&E. It took doctors more than 2 hours to find a vein where they can collect blood. This was extremely stressful for a 14-year-old. Whereas if we could measure an index of hemolysis just using a urine sample, we could have done that at home, and that could have directed our decisions. So giving patients the capacity to do tests themselves and act on this information, seeing red flags early on, is really important. It's something that healthcare providers should be focusing on.
A lot of people can benefit from this test, because one most common cause is infection. So that can be viral infection. A lot of viruses which cause hemolytic fevers, like dengue fever, is among those. Then a lot of bacterial infections, which, for example, can cause pneumonia, and a relatively large percentage of population, especially among young children or older patients, can get it because bacteria produce toxins and they can damage the red blood cells, which cause the rupture. Then there is, of course, malaria, which is quite known among people. Certain populations suffer from genetically caused anemias. And another important thing these days is when we are thinking various medications, because medications can have side effects, and one of the common side effects is actually intravascular hemolysis. For example, for patients which are treated for malaria, quite often the antimalarials also cause intravascular hemolysis. Another thing are babies, because babies suffer physiologically from intravascular hemolysis, and it's very important to monitor it, because the buildup of products which are a consequence of removal of hemoglobin or change from fetal hemoglobin to adult hemoglobin, like bilirubin, are these days monitored very, very cautiously worldwide.
Well, baby care is obviously critical. We all love babies, particularly when they are our babies. These are very precious moments. We are very cautious about their well-being, and at the same time, these are small human beings for whom there's very little context. We don't know their medical history, they've just appeared. Some of these metrics that we use to assess diseases are not that well defined. There's actually quite limited research related to neonates for obvious reasons. But at the same time, nappies are an amazing opportunity to test. They collect urine in a setting that could be used for a test. So our proposal is to work with you guys to develop a nappy insert that will tell the mother, the father, the carer whether there's a problem. It will highlight that there's a red flag at a time when it's very hard to predict and things can happen very quickly. A disease can develop very quickly in the newborn, and the decision whether to release a newborn from, for example, a neonatology ward or take it back to hospital have to be done very, very quickly.
So for us, because we are scientists, we don't have the know-how and the connections and network to roll out our test. We can propose something, we can test it, but then we need organizations like MuhdoHub or Comtech Innovations, which help us to produce the test and to enable the rollout to the clients, to families, or even within the medical system as a part of the medical care.
So the good thing about our test is that when you're healthy, when there's no problem, it should give a reading of 0. So it's very easy to interpret. If there's no signal, you're fine. If there's a problem, you might expect a graded response. And that allows you to determine whether you think you need to go to the hospital because things are getting worse. If you do progressive tests and you find that things are going in the wrong trajectory, that empowers you to make decisions. And if you are a carer for a young newborn, it's these things that you need to monitor very regularly.
So there are many things. First, that it's totally non-invasive, so it doesn't require taking blood, which is especially important in children, young children, in people who are suffering anxiety from taking blood, and even people who, like elderly, are quite often frail, and it's not that easy to take the blood because they might be not hydrated enough and so on. So that's very important thing. Secondly, the biomarker is so stable that it's possible to turn it into a lateral flow test device, like a pregnancy device or a nappy insert. And that means it requires very little lab necessity, you can say. And it's relatively cheap to produce and to buy. And it can be done at home. It can be done as a part of, let's say, a training, or can be integrated very easily into medical care, similarly like the pregnancy tests are these days or COVID tests are these days.
Thank you, Pawel. Thank you, Betka. And just to wrap it up, this partnership marks a huge moment for us, both commercially and scientifically. The hemolysis test you've developed here at Oxford has the potential to unlock a market worth hundreds of millions, if not billions. But just as important from our point of view, it validates everything we've been building over the last 8 years. We're turning cutting edge science into accessible, scalable health tech. Developing the test for home use, including standalone kits and integration into nappies for both infants and adults. That alone is a game changer, and it gives parents and caregivers the ability to detect infection and assess the severity from home, removing that stress, saving time, and easing the pressure on the healthcare system. We absolutely love what we're doing with you guys. This innovation fits seamlessly into the MuhdoHub platform. We already offer continuous health tracking for adults, for children, through our epigenetics technology. Now, with the hemolysis detection, we can identify complications even earlier and support families beyond birth with personalized preventative care, which is all that we hear about at MuhdoHub. Combined with our existing tools, nutrition tracking, cellular development monitoring, we're really trying to build something that's complete and an intelligent home health ecosystem. And we're not starting from scratch with this. We've got the infrastructure, we've got the partners, and the experience to scale this product fast. We already work with some of the major players in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. We've got the rollouts lined up and our retail partners are fully behind it. This is one of those rare products we believe that makes more sense to say yes than not to say yes. Everybody sees the value that we've spoken to. It's the better mousetrap. So we're really, really, really excited how this redefines early diagnostics. It takes health insights out of the clinic and puts them into everyday life, whether that's for the parent at home or a caregiver in nursing home. It also, as a business, helps us grow our data set, boost user engagement, and deliver long-term value through personalized products and services. And that's the kind of work we've been laying the foundation for, where science meets daily life. Our collaboration with you guys at Oxford shows how top-tier research can become something truly practical. The hemolysis test that you've developed, whether it's in nappies or home kits, is a change in how people will think about diagnostics. With the MuhdoHub platform, we're setting a new standard in preventative health, and we're incredibly grateful to you, Pawel and Betka, for trusting us to bring this to the world after years of work that you guys have done. It's finally happening. We couldn't be more excited for what's next, and we will keep everybody updated as we go through the journey. It's not going to take a long time for this to get to market. So thank you so much for your time, guys, and congratulations on your success. You've really done something amazing here. And as always with MuhdoHub, our philosophy is better backed by science. And what you have done is making something that is better backed by science. So thank you so much for your time.